My name is Claire Clark, founder of the Claire Clark Academy here at Milton Keynes College. I'm going to be showing you how to glaze a mousse with white glaze, and I'm also going to add on to that shimmer glaze. So I'm going to start by making the shimmer glaze, and we're just going to take a little bit of neutral glaçage and water, and we're going to bring that to the boil. The other thing you're going to need for this is something for the shimmer, and I'm using gold glitter powder. I'm going to take about a teaspoon of that and put it into a ramekin. I'm making a very small amount because a small amount goes a long way. So all I'm doing is warming this nappage, this clear glaze and the water together. I'm going to bring it to the boil. Now you can also keep this in the freezer, and it will keep in the freezer for 3 months easily, just in a sealed plastic container. And then when you need to use it again, you can take it out, defrost it, and it's ready to use. It's a really good idea if you know that how many mousses you glaze at any time, you freeze it in that amount. So if you know it takes 250 grams to glaze your mousse, and you only use one mousse at a time, then freeze it in increments of 250 grams. If you do 10 at a time, then scale that up and keep it in a container at that size. It just makes it so much easier when you come to use it again. So that's now melted. I'm going to pour it onto my glitter. And then it's just a case of mixing those two together. I take a small spoon and mix those through. I say it looks a small amount, but it really does go a long, long way. And the freezing process goes for all the glazes, the white glaze, chocolate glaze, any kind of glaze. It'll all keep really well in the freezer. Okay, so that's made. So now we're going to take our mousse out of the freezer. It's also important that everything's at the right temperature. So your mousse must be frozen at least at 18 degrees centigrade. If you've got a blast freezer and you can take it lower, that's also a good thing to do. Remember that if it's a hot day, that really do need to keep it in the freezer to the last minute. And then your glaze needs to be 34 to 36 degrees centigrade. This is the white glaze. And I also have the coloured glaze that I made earlier, because I'm going to do a combination of these. Now there's many ways that you can mix these together. You can put them into a bag, into a jug, and you can spiral them together and pour them on top. That's fine, but remember, if you are going to do that, any excess that you have left over is going to be multicoloured. And the more you're going to need to reheat that, so the more you reheat it to use it again, the more it's going to become a block colour. You can then, if you want to change the colour, say if you've got red and you wanted to have an orange, you could then add yellow to it and you could make it orange. But that only works for non-primary colours. So if you start off with blue, you're going to end up with blue. Even if you have black, it's just going to be a darker blue. If you have green, it's going to be the same colour. So you just have to bear in mind that unless you're going to use it, you need to be a little bit careful how you use it. I am going to change trays before I add the colour, because this is also a really good way of saving the excess, and you've got two separate colours. So I have my mousse. It has been in the freezer at 18 degrees centigrade, so minus 18 degrees centigrade. So it's really nice and frozen, and it's ready to go. I know my glazes are at the right temperature. Again, it's really important. If it's too hot, it's going to melt the mousse. If it's too cold, glaze is going to be too thick. I also have my coloured white glaze and my glitter glaze. So I'm going to start by pouring this into a jug. Now it does take, it's better you have more than you need, so it does take quite a lot. Hence the reason why I'm going to change the tray before I put on the colour, because I want to reserve this as a neutral colour for future use. So I'm going to start in the middle and pour it towards the outside. So I'm working all the way over, making sure it's going all the way down. You can see that it's all nicely covered. I'm then going to change my tray. because if I pour the colour glaze over it, it's all going to go into the excess on the tray, and I want to avoid that as much as possible, although there will be a little bit. Change the tray over, put that to the side. And then you're going to take some colour, and it's really up to you how you want to do this. I'm going to drizzle mine, just make it a little bit random. And then I'm going to take my glitter glaze. Now what I am going to do with my glitter glaze is I'm going to put it onto the back of a spatula. So I'm just going to run it down the back of a spatula like that, because I don't want it to be too much. You see that? It's all on the back, and then I'm going to spread them over to incorporate them. So we just go over the top, all the excess falling down the sides. Make sure that comes down nicely. You can sort of encourage it a little bit. There we go. And you should have a nice, smooth, even finish over the top. And again, you see I've got hardly any wastage on my tray there. If I'd put the colour over the top, I would have wasted all the excess from the white. This I can keep. I can then make it into the purple for the next batch that I'm going to do. To keep this nice and shiny, you need to let it come back to temperature in the fridge. So if you leave it out of the fridge to defrost, it'll start to sweat, the glaze will start to sweat on the surface. So it needs to come back at fridge temperature. So you would then take this off the tray, which I'll show you to do, put it onto a base of either sponge or a biscuit base, and then put it into the fridge to finally defrost. So the easiest way to remove your mousse cake from the rack is to use a small palette knife or a knife, and just go around the bottom of the mousse to remove the excess glaze before it gets too set. It's just releasing it from the tray. A little bit of hot water if you feel that it needs it will also help. I go all the way around, and then you'll be able to lift it up, and then just bring in any of this excess, trimming it off. Pull it towards the mousse, not away from it, so it doesn't drag. A little bit of patience. If you have found that you're doing this on a hot day and your mousse has become a little bit soft, then of course put it back into the freezer for sort of 10-15 minutes to firm it up, and then you can just put that onto your base and then into the fridge.